Right now, the story everyone's telling about Google is a comeback. The company that fumbled AI, got written off, then came roaring back with a model so good it reportedly sent OpenAI into a full-blown panic. That story is true, but it isn't the real one. Because in August of 2024, the richest AI lab on Earth quietly paid about $2.7 billion. Not for a company, not for a data center, not even for a product. They paid it to hire one engineer back. A guy who used to work there, quit in frustration, and left after Google refused to ship an idea he believed would change everything. 4 years later, that same idea had become the most valuable concept in the entire AI industry. So forget the comeback. This is the story of how Google invented the technology behind the AI revolution, watched its own people walk out the door and build the competition with it, and then spent billions trying to buy that mistake back from itself. And once you see how it happened, you'll never look at a dominant company the same way again. Here's the first thing you have to throw out: the version where Google is the underdog. It never was. Go back to the middle of the last decade. Google wasn't trailing the AI field. Google basically was the field. In 2014, it paid around $500 million for DeepMind, a London lab run by a former chess prodigy named Demis Hassabis. It already had a heavyweight research team of its own, and the bench it stacked in those years reads, in hindsight, like a guest list for everyone else's company. The future founders of OpenAI worked there, so did the future founder of Anthropic. If you wanted to do serious AI in 2015, Google was the building you wanted to be inside. The talent was there, the money was there, the lead was real, and it was years deep. Which is exactly what makes that $2.7 billion check so strange. Companies fall behind all the time. They get out-hired, outspent, outbuilt. But Google wasn't out anything. It had the people, it had the budget, and, as you're about to see, it had the actual invention sitting in a drawer. So, the real question was never how Google fell behind. It's how a company that far ahead manages to give its lead away, one piece at a time, entirely through decisions it made itself. The answer comes down to one habit. Google kept saying no. No to its own researchers, no to its own ideas, no to shipping the thing it had already built. And it said that no in 3 escalating ways, each one more expensive than the last. It starts with a paper. On June 12, 2017, 8 Google researchers published 15 pages titled "Attention is All You Need." Inside was an architecture they called the transformer. You don't need the math, you just need one fact. This is the design underneath almost every major AI system built since: ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. All of it traces back to those 15 pages. The paper's now been cited more than 240,000 times. One of the most referenced scientific papers of the century. Google published it for free, the way academics share their work, and then it mostly let it sit there. Why? 3 reasons. The first was culture. Google's AI people got rewarded for research, for papers, for breakthroughs, far more than for turning any of it into a product you could actually use. The second was fear. And this one's important because it was rational. Search advertising was Google's entire engine, well over $200 billion a year, more than 3/4 of everything the company earned. A free machine that just answered your question with no links to rank and no ads sitting beside them threatened exactly that. As one senior engineer, Jeff Dean, reportedly told staff, Google carried far more reputational risk than a startup if it shipped something that got facts wrong. So it moved more conservatively than a small startup. Translation: shipping aggressive AI didn't just carry risk, it pointed a gun at the most profitable business in the company's history. And the third reason was the bluntest of all. One of the paper's own co-authors, Ilya Polosukin, put the company's instinct into a single line. Google doesn't move unless it's $1 billion business. So the people who wanted to move did the only thing left to do. They left. Ilya Sutskever walked out and co-founded OpenAI. Dario Amodei would go on to start Anthropic, and one by one, the authors of that Transformer paper resigned. Every one of the 8, in the end, most of them leaving to build their own companies. Think about that. Google didn't just publish the blueprint for the AI revolution. It trained the people who'd use that blueprint against it and then watched them stroll out the front door. Another co-author, Aidan Gomez, explained why, and he wasn't even bitter about it. Inside a corporation that size, he said, you can't really freely do that product innovation. Fundamentally, the structure does not support it, and so you have to go build it yourself. That's the second no. But the most expensive one was still coming, and it came in 2020. That year, 2 full years before most of the world had heard the word ChatGPT, a Google engineer named Noam Shazir and a colleague named Daniel DeFreitas built a chatbot inside the company. They called it Mina, and it could hold a real conversation, debate an idea, land a joke, follow you from one subject to the next. Shazir thought it was enormous. He believed something like it could eventually replace Google search and throw off staggering revenue. So he pushed hard to put it in front of the public. Google said no. Sundar Pichai personally asked him to stay. But what Pichai wouldn't do was promise the product would ever ship. So Shazir ran the math on that promise, and he left to build his own company. Remember that name. Remember that company. Because Google is about to pay $2.7 billion to undo this exact moment. But first, the cracks turned into a collapse. In public. In November 2022, OpenAI released ChatGPT, 100 million users in roughly 2 months. And here's the part that should sting. In concept, it was strikingly close to the chatbot Shazir had built and been told to bury. And it ran on the Transformer, the architecture Google's own people had invented and given away. The most disruptive product in a generation was, underneath the hood, 2 Google ideas Google had decided weren't worth shipping. What happened next was almost worse than getting beaten, because Google proceeded to beat itself on camera. When it finally panicked and rushed out a chatbot called Bard in early 2023, the launch demo got a basic fact wrong. The stock dropped nearly 8% in a single day. About $100 billion in market value, gone over one wrong answer. The rebuilt version didn't go much better. Ask its image generator for a 1943 German soldier, and it would hand you Nazi uniforms on a deliberately diverse set of faces. Google killed the feature within 2 days, and Pichai called the output unacceptable. Meanwhile, its new AI search summaries were telling people to eat rocks, to put glue on their pizza, that smoking while pregnant was fine. For 2 years, the company that invented the underlying technology could not get out of its own way. And that brings us all the way back to the check. In August 2024, Google paid that $2.7 billion through a licensing deal built around character AI, the exact startup Noam Shazir had left to found, and it brought Shazir back. Him, plus around 30 of his researchers. He returned as a technical lead on Gemini, the project Google was now betting its entire future on. So, sit with the arithmetic for 1 second. In 2020, Google could have shipped Shazir's chatbot for the price of saying yes. Saying no instead cost it 3 years. It cost it an industry-wide head start. It cost it a generation of rivals the company had personally trained. And then it cost $2.7 billion to buy back the same man and the same idea it had already owned outright. But here's the twist that makes the whole thing land. It worked. With that team back inside the building, Gemini got sharp, fast. In November 2025, Google released Gemini 3, a model that outscored every major rival in the industry, GPT-5, Claude, Grok, and posted the highest mark anyone had ever recorded on a brutal PhD-level reasoning test. And the reaction told you everything. OpenAI's Sam Altman called a code red inside his own company, reaching, whether he meant to or not, for the exact phrase Google itself had used 3 years earlier when ChatGPT first put the fear in it. The roles had flipped completely. But Google didn't get there by being smarter than everyone else. It got there by finally, and very expensively, undoing its own mistake. So here's the take-home, and it's bigger than Google. We tend to think disruption comes from the outside. The scrappy startup, the garage, the competitor nobody saw coming. But Google's disruption didn't come from outside. It came from inside, from the part of a rich, comfortable, dominant company that will always rather protect a $200 billion business than risk shipping the thing that might replace it. The talent didn't fail. The technology didn't fail. The invention was sitting right there the entire time. What failed was the nerve to use it. Call it the incumbents tax. The price a giant eventually pays for every breakthrough it was too cautious to ship. And for Google, that tax came due at $2.7 billion, plus interest. So, the next time a company looks untouchable, the wide moat, the brilliant engineers, the bottomless bank account, remember that Google had all of it and still nearly handed away the most important technology of the era, not to a rival across town, to its own caution. Because the most dangerous competitor a giant ever faces isn't the upstart trying to break in. It's the version of itself that's winning too comfortably to bother. And if you want the stranger half of this story, the rivals now paying Google billions for the very chips and cloud they need to fight it, that's where this gets genuinely hard to believe.